welcome back to the Shuffle Squad. Zach Massage here. We're going to be going over another tier list as we approach post-rotation being legal for in real life play, including Atlanta Regional Championships. I've added a few more icons based off the suggestions in the comments. I think it was like Pidgeot, United Wings, Okie Dokie. I added Archaludon with Enzork, Azumarill, and probably another one I don't necessarily remember, but we'll be covering it all in this video. Oh, Goldango Scizor. So really just trying to have everything that we possibly could face on here. It's 42 decks. If there's any more that you think I'm missing, let me know in the comment section. Putting a comment in there also helps boost the YouTube algorithm and continues to keep this channel flowing strong with views. I put decks between best, really good, kind of good, mid, kind of bad, and really bad. If you find your deck in the mid, kind of bad, really bad, sorry about that. It's just based off of our current metagame. A lot of the times these decks do get adjusted on a week-to-week basis. So if you have an absolute solid reasoning why your, I don't know, United Wings deck is not really bad right now, let me know. I will do my best to use my brain and figure out exactly what's going on. If you're winning your local tournaments nonstop, sometimes these decks are better in more of an isolated metagame. I'm usually focused on the global metagame. But I don't want to explain this enough. I want to drag and drop these cards in because these tier lists are actually some of the most fun I have just creating content. It's kind of relaxing. I think Arch Dubwool is kind of good. It has the makings of what should be a tier 1-ish deck, maybe tier 2-ish deck, but it doesn't come to all actuality. In some cases, like I think there's just better things. Like I kind of like the Archaludon Enzork to have the draw power more, or I like the Archaludon Poison more. So I think that those decks might be a tier above it. And I'm just going to kind of choose decks here randomly. I think that the Raging Bolt Belly Bolts is probably going to be our first mid-tier deck. Now, I know a lot of y'all are a huge fan of Raging Bolts, and also the Iono's Belly Bolt is a cool package. We haven't really seen this deck take off in online events, and we haven't seen it happen in real life events, nor has it happened in Japan. So if you're crushing your local league, that's sick. Right now, I just don't see it being better than our other current builds. So I'm going to put it at mid right now. Maybe it's better than I think it is. Maybe it will be the surprise deck of Atlanta. That's why I do these almost every week. Contender, I think, is kind of bad. Stage 2 Pokemon deck. A lot of Pokemon are just having raised like more and more HP. Can kind of control it with Badoo. It just seems like it's becoming a little bit outdated for our metagame. Was kind of cool for a little bit. Type of deck that you might see one of in a day 2 of a regionals from a really dedicated player, but not too much else. Dango de Dunsparce is going to be our first really good deck. Now, I think Goldango is just absolutely fantastic. The Dunsparce that has Runaway Draw, plus the Dunsparce EX from our new set Journey Together, both seem really good to add into this deck, giving it a lot of answers for like the walls, giving it answers for everything. So I think Goldango seems incredibly good right now. Festival lead, I think, probably ends up becoming kind of bad for reasons of Dragapult being one of the best decks in format, being able to snipe all your opponent's Pokemon, being able to pop your opponent's Pokemon. Like, sure, it could be good in the right metagame, and it was kind of okay when Charizard was seeing success and Raging Bolt was seeing success, but right now it's not necessarily well positioned in our current metagame. Gardevoir, I think, is really good. It's not the best, but I think that we're going to see some exciting lists come out of Atlanta from some brave Gardevoir soldiers that end up playing this deck and really showing us how it should be built in our post-rotation format. So I'd be looking towards Henry Chow, Josh Frank, those kind of players that have played the deck over and over again. Chen Pao seems kind of like, I don't want to put it at really bad, but it seems kind of bad right now. It's just not really like there's not a deck up at the top that has like a lot of HP that doesn't have a single prize card attacker. It's just kind of found itself in this position where like I think it's pretty susceptible to just like your opponent like disrupting your hands, your opponent sniping your bench, so that doesn't seem great. Archaludon Poison, gonna be a really good deck. I'm gonna take a break to have a drink of water here. I absolutely love my Pokemon water bottle that I got from EUIC. Pretty cool. Not sponsored, I just bought it. I thought it was cool. So yeah, Chun-Pao, kind of not great, and Archaludon Poison just seems like it has some of the answers. I think it's like definitely one of the better ways to play the deck, but I do think that the Enzoric build might end up being pretty good too. I'm gonna put that right beside it, or I'm gonna put it with the buffer of Archaludon, just so it's like not the same. I like the Enzoric builds kind of inspired by Azul, being able to pitch draw. It has a lot of HP, probably not getting knocked out, kind of cool. Ancient Box, probably kind of bad right now. Not really able to keep up with HP of the formats. It's a little bit slow. The Azumarill deck, it did win a tournament, so I'm gonna put it at mid. I just don't necessarily see why it won the tournament. Like, sure, its ability is good, but like sometimes these online tournaments, people are not always putting in the most effort. They're not necessarily always like, it's not the same as signing up for a regionals and paying a $70 entrance fee. So I think that the Azumarill is just not going to necessarily cut it all the way towards the top, but certainly it could be okay. Blissey, I think, is kind of good. It's Blissey, Walls, Monkey Dory. We saw it do well in Japan. It's done okay at online tournaments. So that's why I think it's kind of good. It's definitely not like mid, but it's like, you might want to have it built, but at the same time, it's okay. I think the Dragapult Goldango deck is another deck that I think is kind of good. Definitely could be in the range of really good. It has the makings of some really cool stuff, but in all actuality, it just doesn't end up playing out how I want to play. Any of these like hybrid decks usually just end up that way. Dragapult Charizard, I think, ends up putting in the same situation. Any of these Dragapult hybrid decks are just not really pulling their weight as one way or another. They can be good like crutches in a metagame where there's so many different decks, and they can sometimes work perfectly for a local metagame. At an online big turn, like at a big major regional championships like Atlanta, sometimes those decks get lost into the kind of the abyss. So that's really kind of where I'm at with it. We'll look into EV Box. I think EV Box ends up being kind of good. The Flareon Noctowl engine, not really good. I think it just doesn't necessarily have the same answers that a traditional Terra Box has. And I think that that's generally where I'm putting it. Ceruledge is a deck that I think is kind of mid. Or just mid in this case. It hasn't really proven itself too much, but it has the makings of what could be a really cool deck. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Ceruledge, but I do see that it has some like quality opportunities there to be good. Mamoswine is a deck that I think is mid. Definitely has the makings of what could be a really cool deck, but has a lot of like tough matchups at the top. Once the deck is running, it's like nearly unstoppable though, so it is something to consider when it comes to building. Like, I can't say don't build it, but it seems like generally a good deck to play. What else do we have here? I think Slowking, I put it definitely in like the mid tier. Maybe I put it in kind of bad before and I just don't think like it deserved that. Or maybe I put it in mid and I was right. Being able to discard the top card of your deck and copying something like Kyurem or Conkeldurr or any of these like cool Pokemon, I love it. Being able to do it over and over again is really where this deck falls in that mid tier category. It's a little bit inconsistent at doing that. Belly Bolts deck, Iono's Belly Bolts, I think it's definitely a mid deck. Like all of these like trainer kind of theme decks are generally not going to be like great. Some of them are better than others, but like we see that like Archaludon is using Enzoric as a draw support. That's cool. We're seeing decks like Gardevoir use Lily's Clefairy as a tech. That some other decks could just use these Pokemon better. Hydrapple, Teal Mask, Ogerpon. I think it's just like, I'm gonna put it at kind of bad. I'm feeling generous today. I'm feeling nice to some of the meme decks on this list. Like, could it set up and be okay and like maybe win a league challenge? Yeah. Is it much more than that? No. Like, it's these decks that have flaws. They don't have enough of a big engine. They don't have enough of a strong like matchups in the current field. But like, could you beat a couple decks just by getting set up and being good? Yeah, 100%. Feraligatr is a deck that I want to put at kind of good. I think it's kind of falling out of taste in the metagame, and it is a deck that could be really good. There's just the wall decks are getting countered so much with Cornerstone and other things right now, so I don't think Feraligatr is necessarily cutting it. Dragapult Dusknoir is going to be our first of the best decks or the best deck in our formats. We'll see if we end up having another one to throw up there. Having answers against pretty much every deck in the format seems fantastic. I think that it's just very powerful. Like, we have the best deck from last format that doesn't basically lose anything, keeps its entire shell. It just goes into the best deck category. There's nothing that's really countering it. Sure, there's Lilius the Fairy, but a lot of the time it's harder for them to get it off than they want to. Dragapult Iron Thorns, I'm gonna put with these other kind of Dragapult or other variants. It's kind of good. I don't think it's bad. It could definitely win games, but like, it's not as good as Dragapult Dusknoir. Maybe it's better than Iron Thorns, which isn't really seeing a lot of success, but that's okay. We're gonna put up Frostlass at kind of good. Maybe I'm placing this too high or too low. It's really hard to place this. It did come second at that online Tournament of Doom regional championships. I could see Frostlass like making a deep run at a regionals. I could also see Frostlass flopping pretty hard. I think it's a cool deck though, and I think it's one of those decks that a lot of people just haven't put any effort into, so maybe it's worthwhile to give a try. Charizard Noctowl is, I think this deck is really good. I don't think enough people are giving it respect right now, and it's the best Briar user in the game, so keep that as that. I think it's quite good. Hopzation, I think, is kind of good. Definitely feels like a similar deck to Frostlass. Definitely another one of these Monkey Dory based decks. We have seen some Archaludon Hopzation decks. Maybe that's better, but right now I think that the Monkey Dory early game pressure build seems a lot better for this format. Dango Scizor, I want to put it at kind of good. I've been putting the Dunsparce build higher, but I could see them being interchangeable or on the same tier. I haven't seen as much tournament presence with the Goldango Scizor build, so that's why I'm going to put it at kind of good this week. Maybe it's going to move up going forward. Great Tusk to me seems kind of mid in this format. A lot of decks can set up pretty quickly before you get out Great Tusk. A lot of decks are trying to get around Saw Block, so you can't really retreat lock something. It seems okay. I'm going to pick Greninja Xatu as really bad this week. I just really don't like that you have to go to a stage 2 Pokemon EX deck. We lose double turbo energy and we have to go with Xatu. So it's kind of like worse Slowking that has snipe things. Like, just play Slowking Xatu and then snipe more stuff more efficiently, right? So I think it's just one of those decks that kind of falls out of favor in the metagame, but it's seen enough play where it's like in there. Milotic is going to be in the same tier as Feraligatr, Milotic Wallstall, that is. Enough decks have counters up at the top, like Dragapult having Blood Moon, Ursaluna, and Dango playing the Dunsparce and stuff like that, that there's just not enough of these. We're countering these decks, so they might be kind of good now, and towards Atlanta, maybe people cut all their counters and it becomes really good, but that's really where they're like between that line of really good and kind of good. Pidgeot Control, I think, is kind of good. All of Blitz will be carrying this deck on their back right now, playing the deck at pretty much every online tournament, doing well, but they're one of the only few players that are seeing success with it. The Knockley in the deck is probably, or Knackley, whatever it's called, is probably my favorite card. Being able to retreat lock like a Hoot Hoot or a Noctowl or something sounds kind of cool. Roaring Moon, I'm going to put at kind of good. Maybe it's all right. Like, there's definitely a bunch of decks that I want to see how they do at Atlanta, but right now I think Roaring Moon's like one of those decks where it's kind of good. I can't say it's mid. It's not really good. It just kind of fits at the kind of good station. Terapagos, Bouffalont, I'm going to put it here. I think it's just going to be one of the best decks for Atlanta. So as we look towards the metagame there, it seems like absolutely a fantastic play, absolutely one of the decks that people should be testing out. So I'd say go for it, give it a try. It's a little bit newer to the metagame, an updated version of what we previously had, but areas like out of all the Area Zero decks, that is my by far favorite. Raging Bolt Noctowl to me, or Raging Bolts in general, kind of, I think is really good. Not really game breaking, but has answers to most decks, so it seems Raging Bolt's in one of its best positions. If you look towards it, we're like kind of making our top 10-ish decks here. I think Terrabox is really good, but not going to be part of the best decks right now. It's like, if there was a tier that was like just almost the best decks and above really good, I'd put Terrabox there. I think a lot of people are going to try to counter it for Atlanta. So we might not see the, I think it's going to make top 8 at the regionals and masters at least. But I don't know if it's going to get much for how much play it's going to see as compared to the Japanese Champions League. Future Box, I think, is probably kind of good, falling a little bit out of favor there. But it's generally not as good as what I want it to be. So it's not really good. It just exists. United Wigs, I think, is kind of bad. Not going to put it at really bad this week, but I think it's just any of these big basic decks, it's good against to some degree, but we're really seeing Dragapult can draw multiple prize cards against United Wings in one turn. Hydreigon, I'm going to put it really bad right now. I think Hydreigon, again, is probably worse Slowking. For the same reasons that I think any of these spread decks, yeah, we don't have Manaphy in our format, and we don't have the new Shaman yet from our next set, but we should just be probably playing Slowking with Kyurem. Enzork, I'm probably putting at... Do I put it there? Yeah, Enzork might be our last kind of good deck right now. I think that it barely falls into that category. I almost want to put it at mid. We just don't have enough answers for the deck, and I'd love to see how it does at Atlanta. Okidoki's done well at some online tournaments, but I think generally falls into a mid category. There's a lot of better other decks to choose from, but maybe I'm giving it not enough credit, and it could see success in the future. Palafin, again, is going to be another mid deck. It's just not really seeing a lot of play. It's cool when it sets up, but it's really hard to get set up in general. And then Wallstall is... generally worse, I think, than Milotic. More or less the same kind of deck, but not really going with the Milotic pieces. I think Milotic is better to at least catch some decks like Dragapult off guard, putting it a tier below at mid. So I think this is a generally cool tier list. I like how it looks this week. I think really getting geared towards Atlanta. The metagame shifting a little bit. We see the Terapagos Bouffalont Noctowl deck up there. Dragapult Dusknoir has been leading the team, and Tier Box is falling down a little bit, but there's a handful of decks that I think in the really good category that could really have a breakout performance and have some success. So those are all decks that I could see making the top 8. Stay tuned for the top 10 best decks coming up this week as we prepare for Atlanta, our first major post-rotation tournament outside of Japan and outside of online tournaments. And of course, if you're ever looking for any assistance or getting better at Pokemon, hit me up for some coaching at metafy.gg/@ZachLassage. If you need any cards, build any decks, check out our sponsors at PTCGL Store and at Kayfabe Cards. Need sleeves? Check out ultimateguard.com for everything that you can have for accessories. I'll catch up with all y'all later. Peace out and have a great one. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes.
Tabi no hajimari wa tsune ni michi e no ippo de aru. Sore wa yami e to tsuzuku. 初めの一歩を踏み出すには勇気がいる。そして旅の終わりには旅を始めた時の自分とは別人になっているかもしれない。旅に出よう。物語の次の章がお主を待っている。将軍の道を歩め。侍の箱とともに。アルティメットガードが送る冒険の第一章。刀、将軍の道、近日 発売
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed the content that we have today, and maybe you'll click on one of these other videos, enjoy those videos too. If you haven't already, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what video you want to watch next. Until next time, we'll catch up with all y'all later. Have yourself a great day.